And welcome to everyone. This Wellbeing event by CWH is Champion Wellbeing with 3 steps at work. If you have never been to a wellbeing event by CWH before, I want to extend a very special and warm welcome to you. I would like to start today's event by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land from wherever you're dialing in from today. I'm dialing in from the land of the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to elders past and present. I also acknowledge anyone on the call with lived experience or caring of those with mental ill health. Today, it is not just me. I also welcome Kerry McVicker onto the call, who is going to share a case study from Nestle today. So I feel very privileged to have Kerry here ready to present to you today. Anyone who is just dialed in, welcome. It's lovely to have you on the call. Feel free to leave your cameras on. It's lovely to see some faces. Please use the chat box all the way through. Both Kerry and I are open to questions all the way through today's session. So feel free to pop them in the chat box and I will keep my eye on those. So I'm Carly, I'm a wellbeing keynote speaker. I'm the CEO of Corporate Wellbeing Hub and currently doing lots of research for federal and for state government, doing some research into wellbeing, particularly in regional and remote Australia, which is really interesting. I am very excited today to be here today to share with you how we champion wellbeing with 3 steps at work. I was in a meeting with a peer on Monday who was a counsellor and also a facilitator, and she said to me, "What's your favourite thing about all the different types of work that you do?" And I thought about it for a while. And yes, I love keynote speaking and all the big, showing off stuff. But my favorite thing about all this work is the long-term relationships that I get to build with you guys. The relationships where we can be really open with each other, we can ask questions, we can explore, we can kind of partner together and work together to really help enhance well-being one person at a time. So that's my purpose, right? Enhance well-being one person at a time. And the more I can partner with you to help you do that in your workplaces, the bigger our reach gets and the more people we can help. So this community, having people online, seeing your faces, having you ask questions, having you suggest ideas, absolute nuggets of gold as we go through these sessions. This community is my favorite part. This is where we build relationships with each other. So welcome. In this 1-hour event today, we are going to cover a Nestle Wellbeing case study from Kerry McVicker. We're going to look at how to champion wellbeing with 3 steps. So I'll take you through those 3 important steps today. Along the way, I hope you can improve wellbeing both for yourself, but also for your peers. I have a powerful senior leadership example that I'm going to share with you. And I have an invitation that I'm very excited to announce. So please make sure you can stay until the end to have a look at that invitation for you. I want to start with this message to share the story of how I actually came into corporate wellbeing and how the wellbeing champion role played such an important part in my story. So when I made the biggest mistake in my personal life, and I made the mistake you can see up on your screen, and I made it deliberately and I made it intentionally. I had a whole lot of stress going on in my life. I was working 2 jobs. I was caring for a partner who was living with depression. I had 2 little kids. We were mortgaged to the hilt. I kind of had stress on stress on stress on stress. And what you can see on the screen is what I did. I said, I don't have time for me right now. And I totally ditched my self-care. And I was forced to make time for my illness. And what happened to me in that period of time when I completely burnt out? I had pneumonia, I had a heart infection, and I had what I would describe as a mental breakdown. I couldn't go back to work for 12 weeks. And that gave me a lot of reflecting time, right? About how I want to work, how I want to show up at work, and how I want to show up for my family and my personal life. And I came out of that illness and that recovery being very, very clear that I want to prioritize self-care. And that was for me. But I started doing posts like this, photos, videos, sharing within my work peers. You need to prioritize your self-care. I started preaching it to everybody, right? And what this evolved into was starting a wellbeing champion employee resource group, if you like, and launching this big campaign on World Mental Health Day. This is going back 7 or 8 years now, and our campaign was I'm Here. And that actually launched our mental health strategy and our wellbeing strategy for that organization. So I share this with you because it starts with us individually being a role model and looking after our well-being, talking about it with other people, and then the bigger you can get that and turn yourself into a well-being champion and really start to I guess, grow that within your organization, everybody can do that, right? This is my story, but this can absolutely be your story as well. So let me ask you about you. Please grab your phone and scan the code that you can see on the screen, because I want to hear from you. I want to ask you this question. Why do you want to make a difference to well-being at work? So why you? Why your workplace? What has brought you to this event today? Why do you want to make a difference to well-being at work? When you scan this code, a little link will come up called Menti. You just click on the link, you type in your response and you hit submit. There's no names collected, so it's completely anonymous, but it gives you a chance just to share with the rest of the group. Why do you want to make a difference to well-being at work? And we will have a look at some of these responses. I am going to just refresh my screen because sometimes, here we go. They take a little minute to come through. Okay, people spend such a significant amount of time in their workplaces. We want being at work to be positive, happy part of people's lives. Amazing. General well-being, happiness in the office spreads like a virus. I love that. Thank you. To garner increased enthusiasm and support to help shift a culture of change about well-being. Great. Help others, create a nice place to work where people feel safe and needed. I like the people I work with and I want them to be happy and healthy. That's a fantastic reason if you ask me. So I'll leave these up on the screen. You can see there's all different types of reasons why people want that. Don't want people to suffer. We all want work to be enjoyable. I'm a fixer by nature. I see overwhelm and hardships. Yeah, I see that too. Lack of innovation or retention. People feeling stressed and burnt out. Yeah, so lots and lots of different reasons. So I want you to remember this. In fact, go ahead and write it down, write it on a piece of paper in front of you. This is the reason you want to make a difference for well-being at work, because this might be your motivator, right? This might be what keeps you going through your journey on being a well-being champion and really improving well-being at work. So what we're going to do is these 3 steps to champion well-being. The 3 steps will be to be a wellbeing role model, be a support to your peers, and to be a motivator and an advocate. So I thought the best way of demonstrating these 3 tips and this whole journey is to invite Kerry McVicker to come along, who has very generously offered her time and her efforts to share a case study from Nestle Oceania. Kerry is the People Experience Manager for Nestle in Oceania. We've worked together for a couple of years now, and I've just been really impressed by the way she has approached wellbeing from scratch and really built what I would consider to be best practice in wellbeing at work. So thank you, Kerry, for coming. I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you for your kind words, Carly. And yes, it's been a few years now, and I have to say, I don't think we would be where we are today without the support and the confidence that you've given us along the way, that we've got our feet pointed in the right direction and that we're making a difference for our people. So, look, thank you so much for having me today. Um, for those of you who know Nestle, we have got I'm in Oceania, so we've got Australia and New Zealand primarily. We've got about 4,500 employees, and part of the challenge with our workforce is that we've got people in offices, we've got people in factories, in the field, in distribution centres, and in retail. So we've got quite a wide landscape of people who have very different wellbeing needs. As Carly said, where we've got to with Nestle is from scratch. So before I came into the role 3 years ago, it had been vacant for about a year. And apart from the EAP and flu vaccinations, we didn't have a lot in place. So when I started, the first thing was to say, where are we at? What's happening out there at all of our different sites? Who's looking after what? And the second thing is what do we actually need to improve the health and wellbeing of our employees, and what sort of our health and wellbeing outcomes are we looking for? So across that first year, probably the first thing was to build a really common understanding with people about what wellbeing is and what's covered, and also then what's feasible in the different places that different parts of the organisation that we've got. So as I shared with Carly earlier today, it's a slow build. I want to do everything at once, but it's actually taken some time to put things into place. But it is one of those things that when you have the right approach in place, everything starts to fall into a program that is actually going to deliver outcomes. So we started with what do we know and where are our people at? So we did a needs assessment a couple of years ago, and it covered off some of the major elements of physical health, mental health, social, financial, wellbeing, etc. And out of that has come some of our key programs, and we've put those into a wellbeing calendar, and that's shared across all of our different sites. And it covers corporate programs like the EAP. We found out that there was a real need for family support. It covers mental health, flu vaccinations, and health checks being our primary ones. And we also have with mental health a mental health action plan that looks at things that we need to do at an organisational level, a leadership level, and an employee level. So we've put together that calendar, and we have wellbeing champions at all of our sites. So our wellbeing champions, we have them at a senior level, so they can report into the site leaders, etc. But we also have them people who activate within those teams as well. And so I work with them very much one-on-one about what their sites look like, what data have we got for their sites, what are people asking for, what's meaningful for them. And along with that corporate calendar that they support, they develop their own site calendar. And there's usually, we ask them to focus on one or two really big things that will shift the dial, and that goes into their site calendars each year. So we do wellbeing champion catch-ups a couple of times a year, but we do lots of one-on-one as well, just to make sure that we're heading in the right direction. The thing that we have introduced recently, which I'm really excited about, is the wellbeing assessments, the workplace wellbeing assessments. And so our sites can take this up when they need it, and to inform their calendars going forward, and particularly as wellbeing champions turn over, for example, or we get new people into roles, it's often a really good place to start to do a bit of a check-in about where things are at, what the current needs are, because as your workforce changes, your needs also change as well. And so after those assessments, they end up going back into the calendars, and we work together on that. So the other thing that we do try and focus on outside of the actual wellbeing needs around things like nutrition programs or stress, things like that, is we do look at the 5 ways of wellbeing, which you can see there up on the screen. And they're the things that we encourage any of the activations that we do to consider those things, because that's what helps keep people mentally fit, mentally healthy, And practicing those 5 ways of well-being is a really great way to really simply look after the health and well-being of people as well. So we do encourage that when we're designing our different initiatives and activations at our different sites. So that's a little bit about the program, how we what it covers and how it comes together. But probably the best thing is if you've got any questions about what we do or how we tackle different parts of the workforce, for example, pop the questions into the chat. But Carly, would you have any questions for me just anyway, knowing what you know about all the work that we do? I know I've covered it very high level.
Thank you. It's so good. I mean, one thing I really like about the approach that you have taken, considering you are one person who does this role and other stuff, Kerry, on your own for, did you say 1,500?
About 4,500 we cover. Yeah.
So it's massive, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot for one person. So the way you've done that is you kind of centralize it at one point, but then your wellbeing champions at every site have accountability. So
Yeah.
I've now got relationships with each of these wellbeing champions,
Yeah.
making sure we can tailor at a site level.
Yeah.
So anyone can do that, right, at a team level. They can be
Yeah.
the wellbeing champion for their own team. So that model has been working really well for you, hasn't it?
It has. And I have to say, one of the things that one of my big learnings along the way is, and I'm just going to put it out there, you have a lot of people who are very passionate about wellbeing. They are really passionate about it, but it's also finding champs who've got the skills to be able to run the programs and to think, put those programs together, for example. So that's something that when we are looking at who our wellbeing champions are, they do need a certain skill set to go along with that passion as well. So I think that's also made it quite successful. And Carly, you'll know that the people that you work with are just fantastic when it comes to getting stuff done as well.
They certainly are. Kerry, there's a question from, thank you, Felicity and Louise. I'll answer your question in a second about assessments. Pauline has a question. Hi, Kerry, how do you develop programs to suit and be of interest of workers in the office as well as factory level?
Yeah. So what we've done is we have found we've developed a corporate program across those 5 elements, and they're the things that are in common regardless of where you sit in the organisation. So one of those is our parenting program, and that means anyone who's a parent or carer, doesn't matter where you are, can access that. And the program that we have gone with, they do a wonderful they do a live webinar each month, but then they've got an incredible resource centre. So even if you can't do it, you can always tune in and watch the replays, and they've got a range of different resources. So it's about having that accessibility to different communication resources that people can access at different times. So with mental health first aid, mental health, for example, we're doing a couple of things on that. We are doing the psychosocial risk assessments at the moment, which is obviously for everybody. But we also have said mental health first aid is very important. We have mental health first aiders at every site. And so that is a key part of our mental health action plan. We've got, I think, over 170 mental health first aiders now, which is great. So it's then around maintaining that community. And so it doesn't matter where you are, everyone comes together on that. The other thing that we're doing with mental health is we are rolling out a training for every people leader so that they have the skills and confidence to navigate those mental health conversations at work. And so even though it may not quite hit the factory floor, the flow-on effect from a program like that will absolutely cover all of it. And then we also have brand partnerships with Are You OK? And so that is something like in our mental health strategy, it will go down to everybody. So the 5 programs, including like health checks, flu vax, mental health, parenting program, and our EAP, every single person they're accessible to. And then we round out our corporate calendar with some key offerings around virtual trainings or virtual keynotes and other bits and pieces, but really it's that corporate program.
So good. Thanks, Kerry. There's so many questions. Can we just keep running through these while you're here? Everybody's loving this. Felicity and Louise have both asked about the
Yeah.
workplace wellbeing assessment. Do you want to talk briefly about that? Because I can give some info after the event as well.
Yeah, so we look at we use the Gallup model of what a life well lived looks like, and that covers off, like I mentioned before, the physical, the mental, financial, social, community, and I've just forgotten one. But what we did is we did that needs assessment to really work out how people were faring across all the different elements of that. And so what emerged from that was we could see that some people didn't have people to talk to, that they didn't feel like they belonged or were included at work. We discovered that, things like the more senior you are, the better your health tends to be, the better your sleep, the better your food, the better your exercise, versus people who were in the factory. So, or who are lower grade. So when we started that assessment, it was really to get that landscape across what wellbeing looks like and understanding what it looks like for different ages and generations and things like that. So that was a really big baseline that we did. And then after that, this is where Carly has come in, because we don't need to run that regularly now that we've got the programs in place, but we want to do check-ins to make sure that we're aligned. And so Carly's wellbeing assessment covers much of that in a very simple way. Carly, did you want to talk to that now or later?
Yes, I'll just do that now quickly. So the workplace wellbeing assessment is 20 questions in a confidential survey, and we just send you the link. So at Nestle, we've just sent that to every plant, and we're running them in each category. So everyone gets their own wellbeing report for their specific plant. So it is site specific, which is fantastic. It covers physical health, it covers mental health, and it covers workplace wants and needs. So you can literally look at your data and your action plan that you get with your assessment and say, right, here's our highest risks, and here's what our people need. And then we work together with you to help co-design the action plan. If you want info on it, see the website at the bottom, corporatewellbeinghub.com. Just click on Contact Us and click on the assessment button, and I'll send you some information about it. Louise asks, how do you get EOIs for wellbeing champions? Kerry, you did one yourself, didn't you?
Yes, what we tend to do is we have got an expression of interest, but at the moment, the way that we're doing it is we have somebody, like I said, at that site leadership level, and then they are the people who can connect back into leadership about what's happening with wellbeing. They're the ones who can talk to the metrics, talk to the reports that we're seeing and things like that. And then usually it's somebody within that sphere that they go, that's the right person who can actually take this forward. So we don't do formal EOIs necessarily for wellbeing champs, but it is something that we're going to do at Rhodes, our head office, because we have lots and lots of different business units there. So at most sites, you would have somebody who looks after it and somebody within that who champions and advocates and activates. But then at Rhodes, because we are so different with our different brands and functions and things like that, we are getting some expressions of interest to form a group to take things forward. But that's only in the head office environment because we've got about 1,000 people there.
Okay, so most companies that I work with do use a formal expression of interest. If you want one, there is a free template on the website. Just go to the resources tab. You can download the expression of interest. It is a template with all of the words that you can literally send out as the email, the expression of interest. But the question from Carly, thank you, Carly, about the selection tool. The selection criteria are actually on that template. So you can download that on the resources tab and have a look at the selection criteria. Kerry, can we squeeze in one more question, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
From Carly says, wonderful work, Kerry. What training do your champions receive?
So I usually do a one-on-one induction with them, and I spend time with them to get to know them and to know where their passions lie and what it is that they're interested in achieving. And then I've developed a wellbeing guide. It's the guide to, it's like the go-to if you want to do something. All the information's in there. So in the one-on-one induction, get to know them, take them through basically the roadmap, the calendar, and then what a wellbeing champion looks like and what we ask for from our wellbeing champions. And then what's happening at site, we sort of go through that. But then they can always refer to their guides when if they go, oh, when it's time to do health checks, we're going to do that. They go to the guide and can find that. So yes, usually a one-on-one in-person induction, so that they've got that support and connection back into the corporate piece. They're not on their own. And then I usually set up one-on-ones at least 2 or 3 times a year, and then we do a couple of general catch-ups during the year as well to come together and share.
Thank you, Kerry. We are also doing Wellbeing Champion training, which I'm going to talk about
yes.
in 1 second.
And we've got, I've got a couple of people going on that course, which is great.
You do. Let's just do one more. Thanks, Geetha, for your question. Hi, Kerry. What are the challenges to engage managers and staff, i.e. busy schedules and other priorities?
So we try to, there's often just little things. So we try and vary the times that we do stuff. It's not always at a lunchtime. Sometimes we do things in the morning. Sometimes it's about going through, rather than just doing something centrally, going through team meetings, or finding some natural opportunities where they can pick up and do things quite easily. What I find is a lot of people have great intentions around wellbeing, but as you've identified, busy schedules and other priorities. So some people, one of the things that we've worked on are little communication packs. So you can, if there's a topic or something that people are really interested in, the manager or someone can just pick that up, HRBP or the wellbeing champion can just pick that up and put that in. So sometimes it's drip feeding through toolbox talks, if you like. Sometimes it is just having those offerings at accessible times, having the replays available later, sharing through workplace. We have workplace, which is our like internal social piece. And the thing is like, I guess from my perspective, not everyone's going to engage with every offering, not at all. But as long as there's an offering there that people can engage with when it works for them or when they need it, that's success to me.
So true. Kerry, thank you so much. So many questions means the information you are sharing is so valuable. So I really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me, everyone. And yeah, big thanks to you, Carly, as well for all the ongoing support.
Thanks, Kerry. Right, let's dive in. We're halfway through the session. I'm really glad we spent a few extra minutes with Kerry because you had so many questions. So big thank you. Let's dive into the 3 steps. Number 1, be a wellbeing role model. Are you a wellbeing role model? Let me ask you these questions. In fact, let me stop sharing. Let me ask everyone for 1 second to please turn on your cameras. Here are the questions that I'm going to ask you. Are you a wellbeing role model? When you answer this question, if your answer is yes, I want to see a raised hand. Can I have cameras on just for 1 minute, please? The first question is, do you work through lunch? Can I have a raised hand for anybody who works through lunch? Question 2. Do you work at night? This is like confession time, right? Question 3. Do you work on weekends? Not as many as I would have thought. And here's my favorite question. Do you check email on holidays? There's a few little confessions. My follow-up question to that is why? Why do you do that? Thank you for your confession. Please feel free to turn your camera off if you wish or leave it on. It's lovely to see your faces. So this is why we are talking about how do we role model, right? If you are answering yes to these questions, I would invite you to start a micro break mindset. Booking in 5-minute breaks in between your tasks, moving away from your desk for your lunch break, or taking a 30-second power break. Just to breathe. Everybody take a deep breath in. We want to make sure we're keeping our stress levels nice and low. Okay, the science behind this shows us when we put an EEG cap on to monitor electrical activity in the brain, and when we take no breaks, that top row, we can see orange and red colors in these brain scans, and they show us the highest levels of stress. When someone does 4 meetings back to back with no breaks, have a look at the stress that is inside that brain. Have a look at the row underneath that is lovely and blue. This represents someone who takes micro breaks in between their meeting and their stress levels stay nice and low. So the science backs up why it's really important for us to take micro breaks. So my first tip to you as a wellbeing champion to be a wellbeing role model is to shut down your day. Perhaps from writing a to-done list instead of a to-do list. Perhaps it's planning tomorrow's deep work, so the most important tasks you need to achieve. Perhaps it's physically packing away your devices and mentally shutting down, because can't we just be our own worst enemy? Sometimes we are just leaving things around and we are working outside of our hours and really not doing the right thing by ourselves. But I really want to encourage you to practice what we preach. So if we want to be a role model, let's start putting some of these things into place. I am very excited to share with you and invite you to enroll in our brand new training that is coming up called Champion Wellbeing with Unwavering Confidence. In Module 1, which is the first workshop and the first e-learning module, we're actually covering the details on how to champion wellbeing. So that example you saw about micro breaks, about the science behind it, we really deep dive into a whole lot of strategies that we can do to be a wellbeing champion in our workplace. In Module 2 and 3, we also go into physical wellbeing. We go into mental wellbeing. We look at all the guidelines. We really try to give you a foundation so that you've got more confidence in how to be a wellbeing champion. So I'm very excited to announce this training program today. It is a 6-month training program. It starts next month. We've got a few people enrolled already. So the enrollments are now open and that invitation is there for you. Tip number 2, so this is the second step in how we really champion wellbeing at work. Be a support to your peers. So this is an example of what we would deep dive into in the mental health module in our training program. This is the mental health continuum. What we discuss are both the protective factors that you can see are pointing down the green mentally healthy end. And we also look at the risk factors that are pointing down the mentally unhealthy end, and how we influence those, how we balance those, how we protect ourselves from a lot of these stresses. So we explore things like looking at the signs of stress and looking at the different ways people respond to stress. So we absolutely know there are mental signs that sometimes are hard to see from the outside. There might be physical signs. There might be behavioral signs, which are generally a little bit easier to see. You might see outbursts of anger. You might see people withdraw and go into avoidance. You might see changes that you're starting to notice people around you. In the poll right at the start, some of you were saying, I'm noticing stress, I'm noticing overwhelm, I'm noticing burnout, and I want to do something about that. So while we are trying to be a support to others, one of the most important things we can do is check in with people and ask them if they're okay. And this 4 steps that are the Are You Okay campaign in Australia, I think is super reliable. I have tried and tested it. I use it every day. I just want to reinforce to you, step 2 is the most important part, where we don't need to say anything. We just need to zip it We just need to listen. You might want to ask a few clarifying questions or a few open questions. We just want to give people the space to talk. And then we don't even want to fix it. We just want to encourage that person to go and take action and make sure that we check in with them. So I want to ask you, as a role model, what happens when we flip this? What happens when we're having a bad day and someone says to you at work, "Are you okay?" What do you do? Let me know in the chat box. What do you do when someone asks you, "Are you okay?" I think it's really important for us to role model well-being, to be really brave and to be really vulnerable. Because actually, if we want to break down mental health stigma, one of the strongest signs we can give other people is to let them know, hey, I'm not doing so well today, and it's okay for us to talk about this stuff. So Anna says, tell them I am stressed and why. Emily says, cry and let it all out. Louise says, easy to say I'm fine, but depending on who asks, I'm honest. Eliza says, I tell them how I'm feeling or what's going on. And Sandra says, usually say good even when I'm not. Yeah, this is a really automatic response, isn't it? We say, I'm fine, and we just kind of keep going. Pauline says, depending on who's asking, sometimes just shrug it off and say things like, the day is almost over. Yeah, so the thing is, some people don't ask with the right intention. Some people are saying, hi, how are you? And kind of keep on walking. That is not an are you okay conversation. When someone genuinely asks you if you're okay, hey, I've noticed you don't seem yourself. Do you want to talk? That is your opportunity to break down the stigma of mental illness and to say, yeah, I'm having a bad day today. I'm really happy to talk about it right now. That is a way we can role model well-being in our workplace. Really importantly, to go along with that is to make sure that we are connecting with our support network. This is important when we are role models and when we are checking in on other people. Make sure we have connected with our own support network, because it can be a lot to take on, right? If you are listening to a lot of other people's issues. But also, if we're having a hard time, reach out to someone at work, reach out to family and friends, spend time with our pets, spend time with our community, talk to complete strangers, make sure we've got our support network around us. And really importantly, as a wellbeing champion, we need to know when to refer people on. And we need to know where that support is and what those resources might be. It says on the bottle of all our vitamins and our medications, if symptoms persist, talk to your health professional. And this is relevant for both physical and for mental health. So please make sure you have the phone number for your EAP saved in contacts in your phone, so you can always just share that contact to someone you're concerned about at work and let them know. If you ever need help, here's where to find it. It's usually free for employees and for family members as well. If you don't have that, please take a photo now of the 24/7 mental health services. There are 6 I've got on the screen. There are plenty more, but those 6 are free and they're 24/7, and you can contact them and get free support. Make sure you are a good support to your peers, not just by reaching out, but also referring them on and being an advocate for reaching out and getting this help when we need it. In other words, encouraging this help seeking behavior. In module 3, I think it's module 3 of the Champion Wellbeing with Unwavering Confidence training program, we actually deep dive into mental wellbeing and psychological safety. So this is a whole new topic that is absolutely gone through the roof. I feel like every conversation I'm having right now is about psych safety. So module 3 will teach you what is happening in that space, what the legal obligations are, and what we can do as individuals. We've already got some people on the line who are joining us. I know Carrie said we've got a few people from Nestle who have already enrolled. I think Louise has already enrolled. Is that right, Louise? Amazing. Thank you. And we've got quite a few people from Burwood Council, and we've got quite a few people from Guide Dogs Queensland. Have we got anyone on the line here from Guide Dogs? Nadine, we have. Welcome. Lovely to have you here. So we've got a few
Yeah,
people. And Jenny?
I'm here as well, Carly. Yeah, Heather Riley sends her apologies for today, so she wanted to make that clear. Yeah.
Jenny?
So I've just got back from leave for 4 weeks. So
okay, got it. So you're catching up. So welcome to people who have enrolled, and an invitation to anyone else who would like to join this first cohort we are bringing through. We are starting next month, so we've got lots of time still to enroll. Let's jump into step number 3. Be a motivator and an advocate. So how do we do that? This is probably my favorite photo. This photo reminds me of my mum. My mum lives, she's in her 70s. She lives with Parkinson's, and she has the most positive attitude in the whole world. And she's always wearing bright colors, and she's always laughing and dancing and carrying on. And this is not her, but this photo reminds me so much of her. So when we are trying to be an advocate and a motivator in this space in wellbeing, positivity is a really important part of this, right? Positivity is a choice we all need to make again and again, day after day. So a few ideas on how we can do this. Dial up positivity. What has gone well? Let's share some of the joy. Let's show some gratitude. Let's collaborate with others. Let's share some success stories. What other ideas do you have? Jump into the chat and let me know what is working well in this positivity space. What are you sharing? What ideas can we have to try and connect in strengths and positivity? Have a look in the chat. Anyone got any other ideas about being a motivator or an advocate or trying to boost up some positivity? I'm going to give you an example. This is a powerful senior leader example, but it absolutely does not need to be a senior leader. It might be anybody. What happened in this scenario is that I had a meeting with a general manager in an organization who, how will I describe him? He was a little bit hard on the outside. He was a little bit intimidating. He was someone people didn't want to have meetings with because it was all a bit scary. And I went into his office and I had a meeting with him about a wellbeing strategy. And we talked about lots of different things, and I was trying to get some buy-in from him. And I said to him, I hope you don't mind, but I've actually noticed that at lunchtime, you've kind of pick up your sports bag, and I know you go swimming over the road at the pool every day, but you kind of sneak around the back and sneak out the back door. And I'm wondering why you do that. And he said, I just feel bad. I want people to know that I'm working hard. I expect them to work hard, and so I need to work hard too. And so I kind of just, feel guilty, and I kind of just hide it. And I said to him, can I ask you a favor? Can I ask you to start walking out of the office at lunchtime really loudly and really proudly and showing people that you are going to exercise, that you are taking a lunch break, that you are prioritizing your health and well-being? Luckily, he agreed. He thought that was a good idea. I was very relieved to see him say that. And what happened is people started saying to me, oh, I have permission to go to the gym or to go swimming or to take my lunch break because my boss does that every day. So he was chucking on his bag over his back. He was walking right down the middle of this open plan office going, I'm going to the pool now. And I just love the way this gives permission to everybody else. So please use this as an example that you could be setting this as an example. Anyone in your team can set this as an example. When you share that you prioritize, that you give permission for your well-being, it helps others feel like they have permission to do that as well. So I encourage you to please start a tiny well-being habit. And I'm going to ask you in the next slide to share what is one tiny well-being habit that you can start. I just have this picture on the screen for a really important reason, because we underestimate, like vastly underestimate, that one tiny habit has such a big compounding impact, like going to bed on time. Improves our mental health, increases our physical health, increases our concentration, our metabolism, all sorts of things. So I want to hear from you. Which tiny well-being habit can you start today? Please scan the code on the screen. Let's have a look and see what you've got in here. Thank you, Pauline. I started getting the team out for lunch together so we don't work through lunch. I am so pleased to hear that. Please scan the code on the screen. Let us know which tiny habit can you start today. And then I want to give you an example of some fantastic wellbeing initiatives that I'm seeing in workplaces. I'm going to share some of those with you. Go for a walk. Great. Stop scrolling at night. Yes. Let me tell you what happened to me last night. My 15-year-old son came into my room and he said, I'm meant to be doing my maths homework and I'm so addicted to Instagram Reels, Mum. I actually can't stop looking at it. And I grabbed my phone and he grabbed his phone and I said, let's make a pact. Let's delete the apps off our phone and put a circuit breaker in place. And we both sat there together. I deleted Insta, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Messenger. He deleted Insta, TikTok, and YouTube. And today we're on a circuit breaker. So I'm like, this is good. So absolutely stop scrolling at night. I think that's a great one. 15-minute lunch walks, thanking people. That's so good. Exercise more, coffee and walk, so good. Team lunch outdoors, go to the gym, amazing. Please make sure you actually write down what your habit is, because writing it down actually increases your chance of succeeding, of achieving. No texts after work. Amazing. Thank you. Everyone should have one tiny wellbeing habit you can start today. In module 5, and I'm just about to show you some examples of this, is assignment week in this program. So what you need to do is design a mental health initiative for October of this year, which is Mental Health Month. Everyone in the cohort will need to bring their idea for a Mental Health Month initiative. It can be as small as something within their team, or it can be as big as something as organizational wide. We're going to have an inspirational showcase in week 5 or month 5 of this training, where everyone brings their ideas to the workshop to help prepare us for October. So I wanted to show you some examples, because last year we ran a Mental Health Month ideas competition to try and break down stigma. We did a workshop like this. We did an online event and I asked everyone on the call, what is one idea you love and you want to implement this October for Mental Health Month? So on the screen, you can see all these fabulous ideas that our attendees came up with that they were going to go and implement this October, which I just love. We also ran a competition for ideas and I wanted to share with you today. We had 2 winners last year. One was Guide Dogs Queensland, and thank you to the lovely ladies who have joined us today from Guide Dogs Queensland. Their idea was how to take a wellbeing break at work, and we built a whole campaign around this. So I ran a webinar for them on the importance of taking a break and different ways you can take a break. And we looked at things like flyers, toolkits, conversation catch-ups, and a step challenge. I think we even looked at that beautiful path that goes all the way around your workplace as a bit of a walking path that we could maybe zhuzh up for people. And Engine Co were the other winner. So their idea was working together to protect workers' mental health And they did that for Safe Work Month, which was also in October. So they provided some mental health awareness and wellbeing tips. So I ran an online webinar for them on mental health strategies. And then they ran a staff barbecue and they did a workshop with paper plane contest as a fun activity. And the photos were awesome. So I wanted to share that as an example. But what we are doing is running this in the 5th month of the program. So you will actually have time and space and support to come up with your own initiatives for October of this year for Mental Health Month. Before we wrap up today, I wanted to share with you this fabulous expression of interest that one of my clients put out just last week. It was much longer than this. I've just grabbed a few words to show you. So this client downloaded our expression of interest off the website. So you can find that on the resources tab. They took the template, they tweaked the words, made sure they had all their values and all their company lingo in there, which was great. I've just grabbed a couple of sentences to share with you today because I thought it was gold. Hi team, do you want to make a difference to well-being at our workplace? We would like to help, to help spread the word about well-being in our workplace. Our P&C, which is our people and culture team, is offering the opportunity for employees to become involved in workplace well-being as a wellbeing champion. This is a volunteer position in addition to your current role, which I suspect most of us on the call are in the same position, right? You will not be expected to create strategy. Your responsibility will be to promote and advocate the existing health and wellbeing offerings, which is exactly what we've talked about today, being a promoter and an advocate for the resources you have. To empower you with the knowledge and confidence to succeed. I circled that because I love those words so much. Wellbeing champions will participate in an online training program delivered by Carly Phillips of Corporate Wellbeing Hub. So what they're doing is they're saying, here's an open expression of interest if you want to be a wellbeing champion. To empower you with the knowledge and confidence to succeed, we will enroll you in the Wellbeing Champion program, that 6-month training program we are running. So they've got an incentive to go along with it. So I hope that is helpful. It was just a lovely wording that I thought I wanted to share with you today. Before we wrap up, I just want to show you very, very quickly what the different parts of the Champion Wellbeing with Unwavering Confidence program have. Number one, there are wellbeing modules. So this is an online course with 6 e-learning modules. Each one will have wellbeing topic content. It'll have tips and a task for each month, and you get a recording of each workshop. In the wellbeing workshops, they're live and interactive every month. They're run on a Wednesday and they're all recorded so you can rewatch them on demand. We run them all like this online, cameras on, we all interact. That photo there is actually my team. That's all our corporate wellbeing facilitators. We had 2 missing on the day, but that's nearly the full team. Just love them all so much. These are the workshops we're going to be running. We're also doing the Mental Health Month Inspirational Showcase. So that's the assignment I've just talked about. So coming up with Mental Health Month plans for your team or for your organisation. And part 2 of it is to have Mental Health Month plans for you as a wellbeing champion. What part will you play in Mental Health Month this October? And you get peer-to-peer support. So we run this through the WhatsApp group, which is where you can post your questions, your comments, your ideas, and most importantly, your success stories, because that is what we absolutely love sharing most about this community. As I shared to you at the very start of today's event, I was not a wellbeing leader. I did not have qualifications in corporate wellbeing when I started. All I had was a passion that I've turned into reality in my workplace. You can do this. I believe in you. I've given you as many tools as you will need to get yourself up and started, get some ideas. There's lots of free tools and templates on the website. Jump over there and download whatever you need to help get you started. And just to finish off, I will let you know that in the final module, module 6, which will be run in October of this year, we are doing an action plan to help you build an entire wellbeing program for 2025. So in other words, by the end of this program, you have had an opportunity not only to do a test run for Mental Health Month and try an initiative, but number 2, I am going to support you to help build your entire program, and all of that is included in this training program. So you might be able to write your wellbeing program for your team or for your entire organization for 2025. If this sounds good to you, scan the code, have a little read of the program and see if you are interested, or jump into corporatewellbeinghub.com and just click contact us. If you just want to book a call or ask a question, that's the easiest way to reach me. I have got 3 minutes left in this call. Please jump into the chat, ask questions, put in comments, put in ideas, whatever you need. Happy to use up this full hour for you. Do you have any questions you would like to ask? You can also take yourself off mute if you would like to ask a question. This is the best time to do that. Just going to open the chat, see if you have any questions or comments, or we are going to wrap up today's Champion Wellbeing with 3 Steps at Work event. And I will probably give you the gift of time if you don't have any questions. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for everything, Carly. So informative. Need to jump off, or next meeting. This is where we need to book in our micro breaks, right? Thank you, Crystal. Really appreciate you coming today. Louise, we struggle to encourage volunteers for champions. Are there suggestions? Yes. Start with the low-hanging fruit, Louise. Start with the people who are already passionate about health and well-being, and make sure you tell them they are not expected to create strategy. What we want from wellbeing champions is to be these promoters and to be these advocates. So I can help you write strategy. I can teach you how to write strategy, but you don't want every wellbeing champion to be doing that. Use the template, the expression of interest template, because it shows you the amount of hours they need, the roles and responsibilities. It's got all the details in there. So clarity is really important as well. I hope that helps. And Louise, you're joining our program, so you'll get some more info along the way as well. Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks, Carly. Much appreciated on behalf of Guide Dogs Queensland. Jenny, thanks for coming. It's lovely to have you here today. Thank you, Pippa. Thanks so much for that, Carly. It was fabulous. Eliza, thank you. Awesome. There are no questions. You guys have 1 minute gift of time. Please use it wisely. Do some deep breathing. Enjoy the rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye, everybody.